Hey, what's going on, everybody? Christian Ballard, Ballard Sports Media, coming at you with a team preview tonight. I say that, I mean, it's 5:30 here in Alabama on February 4th, but got to look at the Georgia Bulldogs at some point, and I've been known as a Georgia hater the past few seasons. I know I've said some things about Kirby Smart here or there. Oh, he's still got to show me this, show me that. I know it's not true. I think with me, it's just being an Alabama guy and an Alabama fan. It's been one of those weird things where it's like I have to come to grips with reality that there's another team out there taking over. I did the same thing when Clemson was coming up, but anyway, nothing but love and respect for the dog fans out there, Mayhem, Uncle Lou, all of you guys. And it's Harry Leg. I mean, I could go down the list. We got a lot of great Georgia fans in this community. Nothing but love and respect. Nothing but love and respect for Kirby in Georgia. I love what he's doing. I think it's great to see Georgia doing what they do every single year, and um, going forward, I think they're going to be the team to beat in college football year in and year out, whether they win a natty or not. If you can get through Georgia, chances are you probably won a national title or made a national title or something. And we saw a couple teams get through Georgia this past year, what they were able to do. Alabama somehow pulled it off at Bryant Denny. Game of the year. It was pretty spectacular. I don't understand that Ole Miss game. And then I credit Notre Dame. I credit Notre Dame. I think it's just weird because as good of a team as Texas was, Georgia beat them twice. As bad of a team Alabama was, even though I'll give them the benefit of the doubt, it's a first year head coach. You're replacing the GOAT, Kalen DeBoer, Nick Saban, that whole deal. But it's just, I mean, last year was just so weird, and I think we kind of saw that in ways, like, we kinda saw it coming, like, well, with conference realignment, with the new scheduling, no divisions, schedule change, it's gonna be weird. I don't know if it was as weird as I think it was more weird than we expected it to be, and I think that goes for teams even like Georgia. Like, how did they lose to Alabama? Alabama couldn't score a touchdown on Oklahoma to save their life. They lost to Vandy. You get the picture. I could go down that whole rabbit trail all night long. But when you look at Georgia, great season last year, 11-3 overall. They come in and they are ready for 2025. I Yeah, let's throw the schedule up. Let's just I'm gonna go ahead and tell you right now, I don't see much room for error. I get the whole deal with Carson Beck's interceptions. That cost them some games. The offensive coaching, it was everything but lack of talent. They don't lack talent at Georgia. They don't even lack coaching, I don't think. I think you need to have rhythm and chemistry with your offense, and I think we did not see that at times this season. They beat Clemson handily 34-3. That was a playoff team. And they turn around, they beat Tennessee Tech. Okay. Doesn't impress me. They go to Lexington against former Georgia quarterback Brock Vandegrift, 13-12. What did that come down to? A missed field goal, or maybe they had to make it at the end? I don't remember what that came down to. It was just so weird. And then not only do they beat Texas at Texas 30-15. They handled Auburn. They lost to Alabama. It was just a roller coaster for a lot of teams, and Georgia is just one of them. 8 overtimes with Tech. Get that was good. I thought I was never going to bed. Texas Longhorns, SEC title, overtime. Better game for Texas, but they still couldn't get it done. And then you lose to Notre Dame, who is your national runner-up. So I don't know. Did Georgia have a better start to the season, or did they kind of find their rhythm late in the year with wins over Tennessee and Florida, Georgia Tech, Texas? Like, where did they find their rhythm? What happened to Georgia this year? What's everyone's assessment? Let me know in the comments. Now we get in to 2025. Just put last year aside. We're here to talk about next year. This season, 2025. I just see them as dangerous. I really do. I think Georgia ultimately is going to be the team to. They're going to be the team to beat. And I say that loosely because it's not like, oh, they're absolutely 100% the team to beat. But if we come back down to reality from Ohio State winning a championship and everything, which was reality, but Buckeye fans, Texas fans that made the playoff run, all these great teams this past year, 12-team playoff. It I've said it before. Sometimes you get a year of the favorites, and if you get that, you're going to have Georgia in the mix. Georgia's got a lot of great talent. Got some good incoming freshmen. Got some five-star recruits. Dalen Everett is a former five-star, and you recruited some five stars even this year, and DeMelo Jones is a defensive back. You got Ellis Robinson coming in, and Jake Pope is a transfer out of Buford, and he comes over from Alabama. He was at Alabama. Malachi Starks coming back. Just so much. I think, Nazir Stack, I could go down the list. Hill Williams. There's a lot of guys. You'll hear probably one or two names called on the first night of the draft and then throughout days 2 and 3. I think Georgia majority, they are, from what I have understood and researched, there's a lot of guys that want to come back. There's a lot of guys that want to play for Kirby one more time. There's a lot of guys that want another championship ring, or some guys that were, maybe the last 2 years didn't get a chance at a ring, and that's why they come to Georgia. That's why you're going to teams like Bama and Georgia and maybe now Ohio State or Texas. I mean, you're competing to play with the big boys. You're competing to win a championship. That's why you go to teams like Georgia. Some of these guys haven't got a ring yet. It's been since the 22 season since they went back to back with Stetson Bennett. Now, I know that you might say, well, that's only been 2 or 3 years. That's true. But really, when you look at it, that's still like with how good Georgia is, that still seems like a long time. You know, Georgia fans had to put up with the whole 1980 until they beat Alabama in 2021. And then they went back to back. And now you're at a point where if they don't get back to being on top completely, are we going to hear 2022 in the world of college football in terms of is that going to be the next troll attempt, whether it's been 5, 10, 15, whatever down the road? And I don't think it's going to take that long. Now, I'm not here to say Georgia's going to win it all next year. I don't know. Way too early for that. It's never too early to start thinking about next year, though, in terms of what these teams could look like. And I think Georgia could look like one of the better teams in the country, honestly. Um, they just they got a lot of good talent. They really do. And Carson Beck left, withdrew from the draft, goes to Miami. Maybe you say, well, that's an upside because of his interceptions and his injury and everything he struggled with. But he has been a pretty good leader for Georgia's offense the last couple years. He really has. Yeah, I mean, Georgia fans admit it, right? Like, yeah, we love Carson Beck, and I could see where he's done a great job at times. I think he just caught got caught up this past season with injury bug and some interceptions. And that going into the season, he was on the Heisman hype train. He really was. Now who's taken over? Sophomore slash junior, whatever, Gunnar Stockton? Jada Rashada comes in from Florida or Arizona State or whatever's happened with him. I mean, there was a bunch of NIL stuff, but he's on the roster. So I don't think you have competition, though. I think it's Gunnar Stockton's job to lose. Now, if he gets hurt, I do think there's a scenario where we look at it and we say, okay, who's going to be the backup? Who's going to be the guy behind the guy? That's the question. That being said, I've gone on quite a bit. Georgia, you're going to be fine. Georgia fans, be grateful, enjoy it. You got G Day around the corner, April 12th. You get into the regular season. The non conference should be pretty good for you. Obviously, Georgia Tech at the end of the year, that's a rivalry game. Going to be tough. But Georgia has won that uh, recently, fairly recently. It was wild last year with 8 overtimes. You look at this year's schedule, put it up on the screen here for you. We got it. At Tennessee, Bama, just kind of skipping over Marshall and Austin P there. Those will be 2 wins. But you could lose at Tennessee. You get the bye week early, lose to Alabama, or do you win that game? Kentucky at Auburn, Ole Miss, Florida, and Jacksonville at Mississippi State, Texas, Charlotte 49ers, that's a dub, and then at Georgia Tech. And then circle this one. Do they make it back to the SEC championship? Again, no divisions, right? You got to be one of the 2 best teams to make your conference title in the SEC, and Georgia is looking to do that. I think those first 2 are guaranteed wins. I think you look at trap games, even though you have a bye week, you don't overlook Tennessee for necessarily a rest, but uh, it's it could be tough going to Knoxville. We haven't looked at Tennessee yet, but Nico's supposed to come back with his $1,000,000 arm and everything he's got going for him, so that could be tricky. I like Georgia in that game for right now. Alabama, Georgia in Athens. Last time Alabama went to Athens, they won. But I also Kirby Smart was the defensive coordinator at Alabama. Had not yet got to Georgia, his alma mater. That was 2015, the last time Alabama went there. Alabama won. Right now, and if you go back and you watch my Alabama video, pretty sure I picked Georgia in this game. I'm going to stick to that for now. Kentucky could be a interesting and tough game. Back-to-back home games here. You're probably going to win it, even if it's close. At Auburn, you could lose. Ole Miss, you could lose. Florida could get interesting. Um, they haven't beat you since the 2020 season. Mississippi State, no problem there. I know it's SEC play. I know it's on the road. Never take it lightly, but Mississippi State's got a lot of rebuilding and kinks to work out. Texas at home, we'll see. Uh, Texas late in the year. I mean, you had played them in October, and since that loss up until the SEC championship game, Texas looked pretty straightforward, good in November. So we'll see about that one at Georgia Tech. Between these 2 games, Charlotte dub. So I'm giving the utmost here on each of these videos, and I'm just going to go ahead and shoot straight with you that it's going to be 11-1 at most. If I had to pick a loss, I'm not too confident Alabama could go to Athens and win. I think Auburn could be really good this year. Could they get Georgia? Maybe. It is at Jordan Hare. But I'm going to say at most if they had to drop only 1 game, only because Alabama's at home. for Georgia. If it was back in Alabama again, maybe I'd pick Alabama, but I'm gonna say Georgia, not necessarily an upset, but gets a good victory over the Crimson Tide this year in 2025. My loss for them, though, and it's possible they run the table. It's possible they drop more than one game. I would say if you do go 11-1, I just see Nico lighting y'all up before your bye week, before Alabama, your SEC opener. I gotta say Tennessee. I got to. Tennessee hasn't beat them since 2016. They play every year too. It is in Knoxville. Tennessee's going to be good. Again, a team we haven't looked at yet. But I believe in Georgia this year. I also believe in Tennessee. There's a lot of teams I believe in going into the season. There's also teams like Auburn on the schedule where I say I don't believe in them, but I like them to do better than they did the year before. So, uh, Kentucky, that can be a tough game for Georgia. We've seen that. It shouldn't be a tough game. I know it's one of those rotational rivalries that you have going, but at the same time, like, what are y'all doing? What are you doing? You threw Brock Vandergrift to Kentucky. You almost lose to Brock Vandergrift, right? What was that score last year? 13-12? My gosh. That game's at home, though. I'll give you that. I don't know. Georgia's just weird. I give them credit, though. I must say, look, it would not shock me if they beat Tennessee, by the way. You could lose to Tech. I just feel like it's gonna be an SEC opponent again. I do. I don't think it's gonna be Bama. I feel like the Vols are, on for a mission this year. I'm not saying national title or anything, 1998, but they they can be good. They could get some wins that they probably, like, have wanted to get, probably shouldn't get because they're gonna be underdogs like the Georgia game. Tennessee could be a dangerous team this year, and I think it might start in early September with Georgia at home in Knoxville. We'll look at them some other time, but for right now, I mean, even if they win that, I mean, if everything else remains the same for my prediction, you're 12-0, and nothing would surprise me. I just think Kirby's hungry for success. He's on the hunt for another title, his third. Why not this year? Why not? I don't know. I don't know. But anyway, that's my assessment on the Georgia Bulldogs. Them dogs. Anyway, love you guys. 11-1 for Georgia. 2025 Georgia season preview in the books. 11-1 lost to Tennessee. I love you guys. Jesus loves you. God bless. Keep your head up. And we'll see you next time here at Ballard Sports Media. Y'all take care.